Cheap Marauders, Inkari is going to be here with the Lash as well as Acquiescence. And we have a bunch of Hellstriders to kill Toads and Mobility, looks like. And for Nurgle, this is a really good play. And this is how you play Nurgle, guys. You park a Plague Bearer on your back objective, and then you just waddle to number 2 and just fight for it. And then if an opportunity arises, you do the dreaded Nurgling backcap. That is like Nurgle play 101. Hey, Dr. V, really appreciate that donation. Thank you. And Wheelhouse, once again, thank you for your support as we move into this game. Plague Bearers are really good against Ogres too, guys. That is my secret sauce build. Against Ogre Kingdoms, I go with the Deathcaster, and I bring like max Plague Bearers and 2 Exalted Plague Bearers as well. And just like swarm the objectives with bodies, and I usually have been able to win on points against really high level players. So it's cool, like even a couple weeks or a month into the launch of the game, like we're still discovering new builds for Nurgle that make them viable against Ogre Kingdoms, I think. But again, we haven't seen it like tested in a crucible like this, but I think we will in due time. So Plague Bearers are moving up with some Nurglings. That is going to take a ton for Slaanesh to remove. Like a ton. And then it just basically comes down to the Big Chungus being able to win the middle objective here, which I think is very, very important. So, oh yeah, baby, look at these guys go. They're pretty quick. I mean, considering like their current health and shape, I mean, that does not look good for them. But what Slaanesh will do is alpha strike the side objectives, which I think is a really, really good play as well. I mean, this is the advantage. It's speed versus, it's the tortoise versus the hare. Will the hare run out of steam before the tortoise can cross the finish line? We'll find out. So the biggest part about this matchup for Nurgle is the allocation of resources. How are you going to effectively like cover all your bases, you know? So I think leaving all these units down here with the Plague Bearers and sending the Great Unclean One up here is a good choice. Plague Bearers will trade super effectively into Hellstriders. Like super effectively. And Kari will do well. But Nurgle is banking, 1,400 gold right now. So there's going to be something very, very strong coming out soon, or a swarm. So we get the Furies coming. Fury's going to be diving in, and the Plague Bearers, they'll get there eventually, guys. They'll get there eventually. They had their charge animation going, but then they kind of lost interest there. While the Exalted Big Chungus moves up there to kind of dissuade them from wanting to attack. And here they come. The Ogre Kingdoms are not here in this game. It is a different matchup. We have no Tzeentch, we have no Ogre Kingdoms in the grand finals of a tournament. This is a dream come true. Now, Chaos Fury is pulling back right here. There's going to be a Nurgle spell going down of some sort. No, Acquiesce to give the melee attack buff. And Nurglings will trade pretty well into Hellstriders. Hellstriders are very weak in melee, only 24 melee defense and low armor. And the Big Chungus is on his way. Nurgle Fury is also very, very strong here. They have great armor piercing, and they're not armor piercing, great damage against light, and they're also infantry sized. So that's going to be incredibly effective here. So the big old bombardment going down from the Exalted Great Unclean One. Hits those guys, pushes them back, and yes, Slaanesh probably going to be ahead on value in many regards. Xiphos and Inkari are on the retreat. And what is the Slaaneshi response going to be? Actually going to be infantry. Very, very curious choice. I feel like the Great Unclean One and the Plague Bearers are going to trade super well into those guys. But once again, they charge into the big boy, and this is also another way to win this. Oh, and here comes Inkari! Wit Stealer's Sword is active, 1,000 weapon strength, the Big Chungus is getting popped! Willing Prey going down as well, and I would imagine there's going to be a heal coming down. Dude, the Wit Stealer's Sword is so cool! And look at the Exalted Great Unclean One just getting whooped on by Inkari with all the buffs popped. Now, will the Big Chungus endure? He waves his bell, and Grandfather will embrace him and give him the fleshy abundance. So, he's going to be healing through the damage. I love the dynamic of this duel here. It's so cool. It's like the big burst damage versus the durability. And now the Great Unclean One is healing, and he is, man, tanking it like an absolute boss. Obviously, Xiphos up a little bit in value, and some of the Chaos Furies were smashed there, but the Nurglings and more Furies being summoned in doing some great work. And look at this duel going down. Inkari now starting to lose the duel against the Big Chungus, it looks like. Although still getting some big work in there. This is a big win for Xiphos getting this, but if Xiphos gets trapped here and can't get away, that could be very problematic. The heal is on cooldown right here, and the Cultist of Nurgle is going to be dropping a Plague Bearer summon to lend a little bit of support, because obviously there are a lot of Marauders coming in, and the Cultist is going to be coming in the back with the Steel Chair. Inkari is very, very squishy, but all of the demons dying nearby will be healing Inkari with the Reaper of Souls ability. And the Great Unclean One now is starting to take a beating again. Wit Stealer's Sword is not active at the moment. Obviously, it has a relatively short cast time. Slaanesh moving in the middle with Marauders to fight Nurglings, but the Plague Bearers there should be able to decisively win those engagements. And now Inkari is going to be pulling back right here, running away and juking from the Chaos Furies. Dude, what a heated engagement there. The Great Unclean One still has 6,000 HP, and Inkari only has 5,000, right? But looks way healthier. And did Inkari bring the Reaper of Souls? We'll have to see. So Acquiescence is popped here in Fascination. Really good play, because that's going to be triggering a faction-wide melee attack buff for Slaanesh. Marauders, though, obviously will lose very decisively against Plague Bearers. Plague Bearers are linebackers against these type of units. High melee defense, as well as really, really good, damage. So that's going to be pretty good. Now, back here, Inkari going in for round 2 against the Exalted Great Unclean One. Does get the Great Unclean One down to sub 5,000 HP. No, 5,400, holding on pretty well. Forsaken of Nurgle are moving in. And the Big Chungus has been spanked by Inkari, and Inkari's going to be running away, maybe looking to jump to the middle, which I think would be a good play. I think staying here with the Mortis Ascension effect and just having all your units get drained is very risky, but I mean, if Xiphos can kill the Exalted Great Unclean One, I think that would be a win con. But look at this, the Big Chungus with Fleshy Abundance once again is healing. Nurgle showing his durability. And it looks like the Stream of Corruption going down as well. Going to be tickling all those Marauders. And Inkari probably should move to the middle and maybe try and help win this fight. I think that right now Nurgle is very, very close in terms of value here. But like if the value is this close against Nurgle, you're actually losing. Because Nurgle has heals, which pretty much account for that damage differential, right? Nurglings against Marauders. The Exalted Great Unclean One is here. Xiphos going to be giving a melee attack buff, maybe? Not sure. Some sort of a buff. Yeah, Acquiescence lowering the melee defense. Getting a Cav surround there as well. On the low ground, Nurgle is just absolutely spanking here. The Marauders able to push back those guys, or excuse me, the Plague Bears pushing back the Marauders. And Xiphos responds with some Hellscourge infantry, it looks like. No, actually more Spear infantry. While Inkari up on the high ground crumbles some Nurglings. We have a little bit of a good fighting force here. We have some Seekers of Slaanesh, which are quite strong. There goes the Stream of Corruption. Going to be doing some big damage against those Marauders. Really, really nice cast angle. This is a really, really good game. I hope people continue to practice Nurgle and learn like some meta builds against them, because the fact that Xiphos didn't pick Ogres into them makes me think he's either not practiced with Ogres or maybe there are some Nurgle options against the Ogre Kingdoms. Still against Tzeentch, I don't feel like there's too many options, but nonetheless. Xiphos is up on value. Nurgle is up on objectives, which is always good. And this is really the big strength that Slaanesh has in this matchup is the rotating back and forth, right? Inkari able to just zip around the map, using the Witstealer's sword, but not attacking the character. Kind of an interesting choice. Okay, now Inkari's looping back. I think it's just a bit of a unfortunate pathing there. But Slaanesh might be able to take the middle objective. They're also still threatening the high ground objective as well. So despite the initial engagements going better for Nurgle, ooh, and this cultist is getting popped in the face. Hey, Wolf, thank you for becoming a member here on the channel. The cultist is getting destroyed in your honor. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the membership. And now Slaanesh is starting to steal the objective as the Nurgle forces here are getting crumped a little bit. Witstealer's sword is off cooldown. The Big Chungus is healing capped. So there's not going to be any more healing going down on the Exalted Great Unclean One. He is at his cap. He is doing the best he can. Marauder Spear is trying to capture this. How is the high ground objective looking? Okay, actually Marauders of Slaanesh with some Cav support. If like a Seeker or something really fast could get over here and hammer these Forsaken in the back, Slaanesh might be able to get this objective and maybe even the middle as well, which could result in a triple cap here. Nurgle scrapping really, really well here in this duel. Both players are. Voidlaw's getting some armored Forsaken in. Forsaken going to be hit by Seekers, it looks like. No, they're going after the big man again. He's a little bit unsupported. He has some Nurglings nearby. Stream of Corruption going down. He's healing capped though. So if Inkari can get some big DPS, that is going to be very, very permanent, to say the least. No more big bulging flesh will come out and save that big man. Inkari's quite low though, at about 35%. Cultists of Nurgle coming in the back as well. Gotta watch out, they hit pretty hard. They do also have armor sundering, not that it's terribly pertinent against Inkari, but Inkari's gonna want to retreat here. This is a losing fight. And Inkari probably wants to go heal somewhere. Have a fight somewhere else. I would love to see Inkari move up to the high ground objective and contest over here, instead of staying down here. But every time one of these Nurglings or units dies near Inkari, Inkari gets a heal, which is so incredibly powerful, right? You can see the heal going down, Inkari's healing up right now, and you can even see the healing cap approaching for the Greater Demon of Slaanesh. More and more Cav coming in. Nurgle's infantry are getting melted. Cavalry cycle charging back and forth. Xiphos showing some masterclass micro there, but getting a pretty big hard-on for going after the Great Unclean One, which I really think going up here with Inkari, killing these Forsaken, and swarming this objective number 1 would maybe be a bit of a stronger play, but I guess this is also good. If you can take down the beast, Witstealer's sword I think was maybe active there for a second. I might have missed it. Nurgle, oh man, Nurgle just barely pushes off so many of the Slaaneshi units off the objective right as they're about to capture it. And now Slaanesh is going to be moving up to the high ground objective. Nurgle barely holding on. Oh my god, they almost lost that objective. Crazy, but Nurgle barely holds in the 4th quarter. Now they have to go up here. Inkari has to beat this down. And it's going to be maybe have to come to a triple cap? We'll have to see. We'll have to see. Jabba the Hutt holding on like a champ, dude. 4,000 HP on this big man. Nurgle playing like it's supposed to play, which I think is really, really fun to see. Now, some of the Seekers do get caught by some of the Furies. The Forsaken of Nurgle going to get slapped by Fascination, and Inkari is going to be bringing some huge armor-piercing damage as the Marauders of Slaanesh move on to the objective, and the Seekers should be getting a good charge into the Forsaken as well. In the meantime, does Slaanesh have any side pressure? They do have some infantry coming from the hill. Nice cap play here. Hellstriders of Slaanesh should be able to finish off these Forsaken, and the other Hellstriders going to be interrupting here. We do get the Plague Toads of Nurgle being summoned in just to probably get some more speedy, tanky bodies and things like that. High ground objective is going to be taken by Slaanesh most likely. I think the Forsaken here probably going to be breaking in a moment. And with good micro, Zyphos should be able to keep the Nurgle forces down. And then it's basically going to be Nurgle Helm's Deeping on objective number 2, which I think they certainly can do very well. I mean, the Big Chungus is very low. Zyphos is pulling ahead in value, but again, the value is more or less dead even because of the weight of the healing that Nurgle has. Nurgling's getting popped. It's getting very, very danger close. Nurgle just needs to fall back and tank everything on the middle objective here. While the Marauders of Slaanesh move on. Void lulls. He's got his Toads. Cav are swarming down. Seekers are going to be doing some big damage, maybe even to the Big Chungus. I think fighting here, or starting to fight here, is good. Slaanesh has some really fast units, so I think they have to start piling onto this middle objective, while obviously they will be capturing the top. Inkari needs to go down here now. Inkari needs to go down now. Time is really, really short. This top objective is owned by Nurgle, but not for much longer. Slaanesh is going to be taking that. Nurgle is going to be pushed off that. And now it is all hands on deck. Nurgle needs to Helm's Deep this guy right here. And what is Nurgle going to be summoning? Plague Toads. It's basically one of the faster units you have here. Zyphos does need to get the triple cap. Only 5 points per second here for Nurgle. Slaanesh could easily steamroll this if the micro is on point. Inkari going in for the kill. The debuff is on the Big Chungus. He's at 2,000 HP. The Mortis Engine coming in. More and more Toads moving. I think intercepting the Toads with some of your Seekers could be very, very good here. The objective is starting to go to Slaanesh. This is a razor close game here. So the Seekers of Slaanesh do have the Sweet Sorrow, giving them a speed buff. Are they going to keep the Toads off, or are they going to go for the surround? The two cultists have good capture weight. Does Zyphos have any infantry coming? He does. They're a little ways off, but there's still time. And the Big Chungus is probably going to go down to Inkari. Dude, this has been such a good duel. Willing Prey is active. Nice block right there. The Toads have been blocked off the objective. Furies are going to be intercepting. Slaanesh Cav are keeping the Nurgle reinforcements from getting back. And Nurgle now is going to be switching to the top objective. They have like nothing banked. And down goes the Great Unclean One. The Dark Prince's champion. Inkari with 5,000 value. Crazy. And both the cultists are wavering. The triple cap is on. Oh my god. What a crazy battle. What a crazy battle. And Slaanesh just barely edges it in the fourth quarter. Now, does Nurgle have any counterplay? They do not. They would just basically get spawn camped at that point. GG. Well played. Zyphos, the champion of France, is back, and he is on the board with a victory with his Slaanesh. Dude, what a close game. That was so good. That was for sure one of the best domination mode games we've had. That was so iconic. Like, both factions played like they're supposed to. It was really cool. I don't know, what could we have done differently for Nurgle? I honestly think it was close enough. Just a couple little decisions differently, and that could have been it. Dude, what a close match. But, hey, on the bright side, for you Nurgle fans in chat who are slightly disappointed, be happy because it was a really close game and they almost won. And also you get more matches in the series now. So it's a win-win across the board.